Tomorrow, the Pisces moon opens a miracle portal, and you need to understand that this is not soft energy, passive energy, or ordinary emotional movement. This is a sacred turning point. This is the kind of night where the invisible begins to move before the visible catches up, where the heart feels something shifting long before the mind can explain it, where a closed doorway inside your life begins to loosen at the hinge. You may have felt it already, a strange tenderness, sudden wave of emotion, quiet sense that something painful is ending, even if nothing around you has changed yet. Do not ignore that feeling. This is where everything changes, and for 3 Zodiac signs in particular, this Pisces moon is not just emotional, it is miraculous. There are cosmic moments that arrive like thunder, loud and undeniable. And then there are cosmic moments like this one, moments that arrive like water slipping beneath a locked door, silent, mysterious, almost too subtle to trust at first. But make no mistake, this energy is powerful precisely because it does not force. It dissolves, it softens, it opens what has been clenched shut. The Pisces moon does not break the doorway down. It melts the fear that has kept you standing outside. And what makes this moment so rare is that it is not only about intuition or sensitivity, it is about divine reward after emotional endurance. It is about spiritual compensation after a season of quiet pain. It is about the universe finally answering something you have whispered in exhaustion, in tears, in private, when no one else knew how tired you had become. Pisces energy is not shallow. It is ancient water. It carries memory, grief, forgiveness, longing, divine intelligence, and the hidden language of the soul. When the moon moves through Pisces, feelings that were buried begin to rise. Intuition sharpens. Emotional truths that were too slippery to name suddenly become undeniable. The wall between what you have been surviving and what you are finally ready to receive becomes thinner. This is why so many people feel emotional under a Pisces moon without knowing why. It is not weakness. It is revelation. It is your spirit sensing the doorway before your physical life catches up to it. And this doorway matters because of what has come before it. You have not entered this moment casually. You have been prepared by disappointment, by delay, by uncertainty that seemed to stretch on far too long. You may have spent weeks or even months carrying invisible heaviness, trying to act normal while something inside you was exhausted. Maybe you kept showing up, kept being patient, kept giving grace, kept hoping, while privately wondering when your turn would come. When would the pressure lift? When would the silence break? When would life stop asking you to hold so much without giving anything gentle back? That question has lived in you longer than you admit. And tonight, under this Pisces moon, the universe is not mocking that question, it is answering it. You may have felt emotionally stranded before this moment, as if part of your life was paused just outside your reach. Not destroyed, not gone, just suspended. Maybe love felt confusing. Maybe your energy felt scattered. Or maybe you were receiving signs, but not closure. Or maybe you were doing the healing work, but the relief still had not arrived. That is one of the hardest spiritual tests of all, when you are changing inwardly, but your outer life still looks like the old chapter. It creates a painful in-between, a threshold, a doorway you can sense but cannot yet cross. That in-between can make you question yourself. It can make you wonder whether the universe forgot you, whether your prayers dissolved into the air, whether your hope was foolish. But what you could not see was that the delay was not punishment. It was alignment. It was timing. Slow turning of the lock. That is what this Pisces moon changes. It opens the emotional field. It invites grace back into spaces that have only known pressure. It restores spiritual circulation where energy has been stagnant. It does not always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives as a text you did not expect, a burden suddenly lifting, a decision becoming clear, a door opening in money, a wave of peace after weeks of anxiety, an apology, a release, a new chance. Strange but undeniable inner certainty that you are no longer abandoned in the dark. The miracle may not look loud at first, but it will feel different. It will feel like life finally stops resisting your healing. It will feel like water finding its way back to dry land. This is abundance. But not in the shallow way people often talk about abundance. This is not just about getting more. This is about receiving what your spirit has been deprived of. Emotional relief, spiritual softness, clarity where there has been fog, tenderness where there has been numbness. trust where there has been fear. A Pisces moon miracle often begins with an internal shift before it becomes an external one. May suddenly realize you no longer want to chase what has been withholding from you. You may notice that your body relaxes around a truth you had been afraid to admit. You may feel drawn toward a person, an opportunity, or a choice that feels strangely peaceful instead of intense. Pay attention to that. Not every miracle arrives as excitement. Some miracles arrive as calm. Some miracles arrive as the doorway. That does not demand you prove yourself before it opens. And because this is Pisces, the miracle portal is deeply tied to surrender. Not giving up. Surrender. There is a difference. Giving up is rooted in despair. Surrender is rooted in trust. It is the moment you stop gripping a timeline so tightly that you choke the life out of your own becoming. It is the moment you admit that forcing has not worked, overthinking has not worked, self-abandonment has not worked, and that maybe what opens the doorway is not more struggle, but more truth. This moon asks you to lay down what has become spiritually expensive, the grudge that keeps replaying in your chest, the attachment to someone who only shows up halfway, the fear that says if you rest, everything will fall apart, the story that says you have to earn softness. No. Under this Pisces moon, softness is part of the blessing. You must also understand that. When a miracle portal opens, it does not only bring blessings, it reveals what cannot come through the doorway with you. This is why some people feel unusually emotional, tired, sensitive, or reflective under Pisces energy. Something is being washed out. A false attachment, fear-based identity, a pattern of scarcity, a grief that has lingered too long without being honored. Before the miracle fully enters, the soul often releases what would block it. Find yourself crying without a clear reason. If old memories rise unexpectedly, if you feel the urge to sleep more, cancel noise, sit near water, write what you have been unable to say, or simply disappear for a moment and breathe, do not judge. That your system is adjusting. The doorway is opening inward first. Mentally, this energy can feel like a strange mix of fog and knowing. The logical mind may not have every answer, yet the deeper self suddenly understands what it could not understand last week. You may stop obsessing over someone's mixed signals because the truth lands in your body before it lands in language. You may realize you have been waiting for permission that was never coming. You may feel certain that something beautiful is near, even if you cannot prove it. This is not delusion. This is intuition returning after being drowned out by noise. Pisces teaches through feeling first, explanation later. That is why this moon can feel both disorienting and deeply right. It does not always hand you a map. It opens the doorway and asks whether you trust yourself enough to walk through. Emotionally, this transit can bring tenderness to the surface in a way that feels almost holy. The heaviness in your chest may finally begin to loosen. The tears you kept postponing may arrive, not as collapse, but as cleansing. You may feel waves of compassion for your past self, for how hard you tried, for how much you endured while pretending to be fine. That compassion matters. Healing accelerates when shame loosens its grip. This Pisces moon is deeply incompatible with shame. It wants honesty. It wants spiritual nakedness. It wants the moment where you stop performing strength and allow real grace to touch the places that performance never could. Energetically, you may notice stronger dreams, symbolic messages, sudden memories, déjà vu, strange peace at unusual times, or a feeling that certain people are crossing your mind for a reason. Pisces rules the unseen currents. Under this moon, the invisible world becomes louder. Not necessarily in a dramatic way, but in a persistent one. A song lyric that feels like an answer. A dream that stays with you all day. Sudden urge to reach out or not reach out. A deep certainty that a chapter is softening. These are not random scraps of emotion. They are signals. The doorway between worlds is thinner now. And when that happens, what is meant for you often begins whispering before. It arrives in full form. Physically, your body may be speaking more loudly than usual. Fatigue may increase, especially if you have been carrying emotional stress without proper release. Sleep may become vivid, interrupted, or unusually deep. Hydration matters more now. Because Pisces is a water sign, and emotional processing often depletes the body in subtle ways. You may feel heaviness in the eyes, tension in the throat, softness in the muscles, sensitivity in the stomach, or a deep craving for stillness. Listen carefully. Your body is not separate from this miracle. Your nervous system is part of the doorway. If your body asks for slowness, that is not laziness, that is wisdom. If your spirit asks for silence, that is not avoidance, that is recalibration. Now, let us speak about abundance more directly, because this Pisces moon does not only open the heart, it can also open the channels through which support, opportunity, and material relief begin to move. But it does so in a very specific way. Pisces abundance is rarely about aggressive pursuit. It is about alignment, receptivity, intuition, and allowing. Under this moon, money may move more easily when you stop making decisions from panic. Work may open when you stop underpricing yourself emotionally. A financial opportunity may emerge through intuition, creativity, healing work, spiritual clarity, compassion-led leadership, or simply saying no to what has been draining your energy, without honoring your value. This is not a moon for reckless spending or escapist fantasy. It is a moon for sacred receiving. It's for understanding that your relationship with money reflects your relationship with worth. If you have been in scarcity mode, this transit may show you where scarcity has been living not only in your bank account, but in your beliefs. Have you been accepting crumbs because part of you still fears that asking for more will make everything disappear? Have you been exhausting yourself to prove you deserve security? Have you been clinging to something unstable because the unknown feels too risky? The Pisces moon can soften those patterns and reveal a better way, not through force, but through insight. You may suddenly see that the doorway to greater abundance has been blocked by emotional habits more than external conditions, by fear-based loyalty, by ignoring intuitive warnings, by staying in places that deplete your soul because they feel familiar. Once you see that, you cannot unsee it. This is also powerful energy for creative breakthroughs, spiritual businesses, healing professions, intuitive work, and any path that asks you to trust the invisible before it becomes visible. Pisces rules imagination, faith, artistry, compassion, and emotional resonance. Under this moon, an idea may land with unusual force. Client offer, collaboration, or solution may appear after a period of stagnation, but the deeper abundance. Lesson is this: what is meant for you will often feel nourishing, not punishing. The doorway is not supposed to open into another room of chronic depletion. It is supposed to open into a chapter where your gifts and your peace no longer have to be enemies. In the body, this abundance portal also asks you to examine what receiving feels like physically. Some people say they want blessings, but their nervous system is so trained in survival that they tense up the moment something good gets close. They expect loss before they allow joy. They brace before they breathe. Under this Pisces moon, you may notice that receiving itself feels vulnerable. Being loved without chasing feels unfamiliar. Resting without guilt feels strange. Accepting support without over-explaining feels almost dangerous. That awareness is sacred, because the miracle is not only the blessing arriving, the miracle is your capacity to stay open long enough to let it in. Relationships under this moon become impossible to fake for long. Pisces can be dreamy, yes, but at its highest expression, it reveals emotional truth with almost painful precision. You may suddenly see who feels safe and who only feels familiar. You may realize that someone's silence has been saying more than their words ever did. You may feel the difference between being desired and being cherished, between being contacted and being understood, between longing and genuine alignment. This is why the relationship section of this transit matters so deeply. The miracle portal is not just about attracting love. It is about recognizing the kind of love that can actually cross the doorway with you. If someone has been inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or vague, this moon may heighten your sensitivity to the cost of that confusion. What once felt tolerable may suddenly feel unbearable, not because you are needy, but because your soul is becoming less willing to live on scraps. That is healing. That is self-respect returning. At the same time, genuine love can deepen beautifully under Pisces energy. Honest conversations can happen. Defenses can soften. A partner who truly cares may become more emotionally open, more intuitive, more present. Vulnerability may flow more naturally than usual. But the key is this: watch behavior, not fantasy. Pisces can open the doorway to miracles, but it can also tempt you to romanticize what is not real if you ignore the facts. Let tenderness be guided by truth. Communication now carries unusual emotional weight. Even small words can land deeply. Even pauses can reveal hidden meaning. If you need to have an honest conversation, this moon supports gentleness, empathy, and spiritual clarity, but only if you do not use softness to avoid the truth. Say what is real. Name what hurts. Name what you need. Name what you can no longer carry alone. And if the other person cannot meet you there, that answer is also sacred. Not every doorway opens for both people at the same time. Sometimes the miracle is not reunion. Sometimes it is release. Sometimes it is finally seeing clearly enough to stop waiting at a door that was never yours. This is why your guidance during this transit must be grounded. Slow down enough to feel what is true before reacting to what is loud. Protect your energy from people who only come close when they need access to your softness. Journal what keeps repeating in your mind, because repetition is often revelation. Rest before making dramatic choices. If your body is clearly overwhelmed, drink more water. Spend time in silence. Notice where peace increases and where your nervous system contracts. Do not chase what grows colder when you move closer. Not. Spend money from emotional emptiness. Do not confuse urgency with destiny. Under this Pisces moon, the right doorway will not require you to betray yourself just to enter it. For some of you, the most powerful move now is to stop forcing contact and allow the truth to reveal itself. For others, it is to finally say the thing you have been swallowing. For others, it is to step back from the chaos and admit that your exhaustion is a message, not a flaw. And for many of you, it is to receive. To stop rejecting kindness because pain has made suspicion feel safer than hope. To let help in, to let beauty in, to let possibility in. This moon is not asking you to become someone else. It is asking you to become soft enough to recognize what has been trying to reach you all along. Now, there are 3 zodiac signs most affected by this miracle portal. And if you are one of them, this energy may feel almost uncannily personal. The first is Pisces. This is your moon, your emotional mirror, your sacred doorway opening from the inside out. You may feel more exposed than usual, but also more divinely guided. The miracles arriving for you are tied to identity, emotional healing, and the restoration of trust in your own path. For too long, you may have carried other people's energy, other people's expectations, other people's confusion. You may have shrunk yourself just to keep the peace, but this moon returns you to yourself. It reminds you that your softness is not weakness, and your intuition is not exaggeration. Something beautiful can begin now because you are finally ready to stop abandoning your own inner knowing, for Pisces relationships may become especially revealing. You are being shown who truly honors your heart, and who only visits when they want access to your light. This may hurt at first because Pisces loves deeply and often sees potential long after reality is changed. But this moon is here to free you from emotional investments that no longer reflect your worth. Financially, this is also powerful for intuitive redirection. A new idea, offer, or sense of purpose may begin to stir, especially if you have been feeling spiritually disconnected. From your work, trust the subtle pull. Your miracle may begin as a feeling before it becomes a form. The second sign most affected is Cancer. For you, this Pisces moon opens a doorway around faith, expansion, spiritual renewal, and emotional meaning. You may have been carrying a quiet grief lately, even if you have not named it that way. It's not always heartbreak, but a deep weariness. Sense that life has been demanding emotional labor without giving you enough room to breathe. This moon comes. Like water to dry roots, it restores perspective. It reminds you that not every delay is denial. Some of you may receive guidance around travel, learning a new spiritual path, a legal or life direction matter, or a renewed sense of purpose after. Feeling lost? What returns to you now is not just hope. For Cancer, the relationship message is especially strong. You are being asked to stop confusing emotional responsibility with emotional destiny. Just because you can hold space for someone does not mean you are meant to carry them forever. This Pisces moon may show you where you have been overextending, over-nurturing, or staying emotionally available in places that have not truly been reciprocal. That realization is not here to harden you, it is here to heal you. Your miracle comes through restored emotional boundaries, deeper spiritual support, and a renewed connection to what actually nourishes your heart. Financially, you may also see a shift in how you value your time, your labor, and your generosity. The doorway opens wider when you stop pouring from an empty cup. The third sign most affected is Scorpio. For you, this Pisces moon opens a doorway through love, creativity, pleasure, emotional expression, and long-denied softness. This is significant because Scorpio often survives by staying guarded, controlled, and prepared for disappointment. But this moon does not want your armor. It wants your truth. It wants the deeper longing beneath your composure. It wants the ache you have hidden beneath competence and silence. Some Scorpios are entering a period of emotional reward after a long season of restraint. Romantic opening, a creative breakthrough, a return of joy, or a moment of healing around self-worth may arrive now in a form that feels both gentle and overwhelming. You are being reminded that intensity is not the only sacred emotion. Peace is sacred too. For Scorpio, this transit may also reveal where fear of vulnerability has quietly blocked abundance. You may have told yourself that being careful was wisdom, and sometimes it was. But there are moments when caution becomes a locked doorway, and you remain outside not because life rejected you, but because trust never got the chance to move. This moon softens that threshold. In relationships, you may be called to lower your defenses just enough to let something real reach you. Or you may realize that someone has only wanted the mystery of you, not the responsibility of truly loving you. That truth matters. Because once you recognize the difference, your energy stops leaking toward people who were never capable of meeting your depth. And even if you are not a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, this miracle portal still matters. Water energy moves through the collective like memory, and under this Pisces moon, everyone is being asked where they have grown too tired to hope, too guarded to receive, too wounded to rest, or too afraid to admit what they really need. Doorway is available to all, but not everyone will walk through it consciously. Some will cling to numbness because numbness feels predictable. Some will romanticize pain because pain feels familiar. Some will keep knocking on doors that have already gone cold. Those who are willing to feel, release, listen, and trust will notice something extraordinary. Life begins responding differently. When your energy is no longer organized around fear, this is why the next phase of this transit is so important. Once the emotional truth becomes clear, you must decide what to do with it. Insight alone is not transformation. Feeling alone is not movement. The miracle portal opens, but you still have to step toward it. That may mean saying no where you once would have over-explained. It may mean accepting an opportunity that feels aligned even if it scares you. It may mean finally admitting that a chapter has ended emotionally, even if you kept trying to resurrect it in your mind. Or it may mean letting yourself be loved in a way that does not match your old pain patterns. That last one can be the hardest of all. Many people are more comfortable with chaos than peace, because chaos is what taught them how to stay alert, needed, and in control. But under this Pisces moon, peace is not emptiness. Peace is proof that the doorway is real. Peace is what happens when the soul no longer has to scream to be heard. Peace is what arrives when you stop bargaining with misalignment. So if something or someone feels calmer now, softer now, clearer now, do not dismiss it simply because it lacks drama. The miracle may not look like the old story. In fact, it usually does not. That is how you know it belongs to the new chapter. As this moon deepens, watch what begins to dissolve without your effort. Watch what no longer hooks you the same way. Watch where your tears feel relieving instead of defeating. Watch where your body stops bracing. Watch which conversations suddenly become unavoidable, and which attachments suddenly lose their grip. That is the doorway opening. Not always with spectacle, but with undeniable inner movement. Your spirit knows when something is changing before your circumstances fully rearrange. Trust that intelligence. Trust the soft signal. Trust the release that does not need to explain itself to be real. And above all, remember this: the Pisces moon does not open a miracle portal to tease you. It opens because something in you is finally ready to receive without chasing, to trust without collapsing, to soften without disappearing, and to move forward without carrying every old wound. As proof of who you are, this is not the end of your story. It is the end of a certain kind of suffering. The kind that came from waiting too long at closed doors, from confusing longing with alignment, from believing you had to bleed for every blessing. That cycle is weakening now. The doorway is no longer locked in the same way it was before. So, tonight and into tomorrow, be very careful with what you call small. A small feeling may be the start of a major awakening. A small decision may redirect your entire emotional future. A small release may make room for a blessing your heart has been preparing for in silence. The universe is not always loud when it changes your life. Sometimes it sounds like a breath leaving your chest after months of pressure. Sometimes it feels like choosing rest instead of panic. Sometimes it looks like no longer begging for what cannot love you back. Sometimes, under a Pisces moon like this, it looks like a miracle entering through the softest doorway of all. The moment you finally believe you are allowed to receive it,